Hey there, welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Hope everybody out there is having a great Monday, November 4th, and you're feeling refreshed coming off a Niners bye week in which you didn't have to go through a very stressful NFL Sunday. Coming up here on the show, Christian McCaffrey is back. Massive news for San Francisco coming out of that bye. We have more Niners injury news on top of that. And even though the Niners didn't play in Week 9, things in the NFC West got very, very interesting. All of that coming up. I first want to say thank you to the faithful because over the weekend we did surpass 148,000 subscribers here on the show. So if you want Niners coverage every single day year-round where you have a voice and we like to inform you, give you insightful coverage that's also entertaining and thought-provoking, hit that subscribe button. We're on that road to 150,000 subscribers. Huge news for the San Francisco 49ers as they begin their preparations for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 10 on the road. Christian McCaffrey is back. The Niners opened up his practice window. He is practicing today, currently as we record this, in Santa Clara, and he could return to the game field this weekend against the Buccaneers. He has missed the entire season and all of the preseason with bilateral Achilles tendonitis. Didn't just have tendonitis in one Achilles, he had it in both legs. And a few weeks ago, he traveled to Germany for treatment options, and barring any setbacks, according to all of the buzz, NFL reports, he could play against the Bucs. The Niners have 3 weeks to elevate him to the active roster because he's been on IR and they open up his practice window. He is currently not on that active roster, but here he is on the practice field at the SAP Performance Center in Santa Clara. Thanks to Mike Silver for that photo. It's McCaffrey with the helmet on, in uniform, practicing for the Niners. How I think Christian McCaffrey can really help this football club for the back half as they seem to be getting healthier and they could be scary for a stretch run. He's one of the NFL's top skill position players. The Niners ranked 28th in red zone touchdown percentage. They have missed his versatility, his dynamite skill set, him being a receiver and runner in the red zone. And it's another weapon for Brock Purdy to use at his disposal because defenses have to account for him regardless of where he is on the field any given snap. I also think that CMC is going to be able to open up opportunities for other players because he's going to draw attention away from his teammates. And anytime that you give the football to CMC, he is a home run threat. Last year in 2023, one of the finest running back seasons that you will ever see. 2,000 plus all-purpose yards, 21 total touchdowns, the co-leader alongside former Niner Raheem Mostert. He was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year, top 5 in MVP voting, a Pro Football Focus overall grade of 90.6, a rushing grade of 90.6, and a receiving grade of 87.1. You think about McCaffrey returning. Hopefully Dre Greenlaw's coming back soon. Talanoa Hufanga, Yetur Gross-Matos, Jauan Jennings, Jake Moody. San Francisco could be getting scary again in a very crowded NFC West for the back half of the 2024 campaign. Elsewhere on the Niners injury front, Jauan Jennings also back at practice. He's been dealing with the hip injury. He has missed the last couple of games, has not been on the field since the Niners beat the Seahawks in Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago. And then Jake Moody, who hurt his ankle in Week 5 against the Arizona Cardinals, also returned. We'll see if he'll be okay in order to kick this weekend against the Buccaneers. With Brandon Ayuk out, Jauan Jennings coming back, also big news for this Niners offense because he elevates to that number 2 wide receiver role. I'm excited to see what Jauan Jennings is going to be able to do with more opportunities, more targets, more catches. He's most likely going to be on that outside. And when he played against the Rams in place of Deebo Samuel, he popped off in that game. 150-plus receiving yards in that matchup, and that was a bulk of what he's done this year, the 25 catches for 404 yards. It's already been a career year for Jauan Jennings, and now he can build on top of that alongside those 3 touchdowns. And for Jake Moody, he was having a good year up until he got hurt. 13 of 14 on field goals, 12 of 12 on extra points. Matthew Carlson did a good job filling in for him against Seattle. Then he got hurt, also on a return. And then Anders Carlson has actually displayed a pretty good and accurate leg. And I think where the Niners have missed Jake Moody is driving the ball out of the end zone on some of these new kickoffs. And I know that sometimes he gets some slack, but Jake Moody, all things considered, year one, year two, he's been a pretty good player. And everybody wants to point to that blocked extra point in the Super Bowl. He hit 2 field goals of 50-plus yards in money situations. If you're pumped up that Christian McCaffrey is back for the Niners, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video right now. The reigning NFL Offensive Player of the Year is nearing a return. What we're going to get into next, the NFC West got very interesting. It's one of the more fascinating divisions in all of football. I'm going to explain why on the other side. But first, today's show, sponsored by our friends at Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play even easier. And it's not just an app for sporting events. You can go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events. But Game Time Picks will filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so that you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can also see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. I suggest you hit the all-in pricing button. You toggle that, and it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Niners play the Buccaneers in Tampa if you live in Florida, or you want to get some sunshine if you're living in a cold climate with fall underway, or you just want to catch the Niners play there. Plenty of tickets available, but then also lots of tickets available for Niners games the rest of the way. They will return home in Week 11 against the Seattle Seahawks. So best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. Prices drop as the event gets closer. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. What time is it? Game time. All right, to the back half of the show. Even though the San Francisco 49ers were on a bye week in Week 9, things got very, very interesting inside the NFC West. And as compared to where we are now in early November to where we were prior to the year, this division is wild. This division is chaotic. This division is wide open. And it's a lot more competitive and closely contested than we anticipated going into the year. That's because partially the Niners haven't been as good, and they've dropped some huge divisional games in which they had double-digit leads against the Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. But other teams have either improved or other teams of late have gotten hot inside the NFC West. Here's a look at the divisional standings going into Week 10. The Arizona Cardinals are in first place, ladies and gentlemen, with an overall record of 5-4, and they are 2-0 inside the NFC West. A win against the Niners, and before that, a win against the Rams. The Los Angeles Rams, 4-4, 2-1 inside the NFC West. They shocked the Niners like the Cardinals did back earlier this year. The 49ers, 4-4, 1-2 inside the division. Their only win on the road against the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football a couple of weeks ago. And the Seahawks got off to a really good start, 3-0. They are 1-5 in their last 6 games, including an 0-2 mark inside the division. If I would have told you that in early November, the divisional standings looked like this when we started off the year, you would have been very surprised. But this is the NFL. There's parity. Things change drastically year over year, and there are oftentimes surprise teams, and a lot of teams go from worst to first inside the division. That's why the NFL is so fascinating year in and year out. And let's talk about those Arizona Cardinals. Let's give credit where credit is due. Jonathan Gannon is doing a really good job with that team that honestly doesn't have a ton of talent. They have been led by Kyler Murray, who this year macro has been playing at a really good level. The Cardinals, like the Rams, have been hot. Arizona, winners of 4 of 5, and their upcoming schedule coming up. Week 10, they will play the New York Jets at home. Did the Jets find something on Thursday Night Football against a good team in the Houston Texans? Maybe. But it's hard to gauge where the Jets are, who they are, because one week they can look good, and that second half they got it together against Houston. The following week, they could fall flat on their faces. The Cardinals then have a bye in Week 11. Then they're on the road in Week 12 against the Seattle Seahawks. That will be a big divisional game. Then they are on the road after that against the Minnesota Vikings. Also a difficult game. So I would say this schedule, somewhat hard, a 6 or 7 out of 10 on the difficulty meter. The final week of the regular season, this could end up being for the division. This could end up being for a playoff spot. Niners on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. And the Cardinals yesterday cruised to a dominant win over the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams was running for his life all day. Matt Eberflus not cut out to be a head coach in this league. Williams 22 of 41. Only 217 yards. DeAndre Swift couldn't get going. Rome Odunze did have a good game, probably the best game of his career. The rookie out of Washington, 5 catches for 104. Kyler Murray really didn't even need to throw the ball all that much. 13 of 20, 154 yards. He was efficient once again. But the Cardinals, like they did against the Niners, ran it well, highlighted by James Conner toting the rock 18 times for a $107. Los Angeles Rams. I have been saying this for weeks right here on this show. They're starting to get healthy. They get back Cooper Kupp a couple of weeks ago. In addition to Puka Nacua, that offensive line is coming together. They have some studs on the defensive side of the ball. The Rams have won 3 games in a row, and because of who their head coach is, great offensive mind and play caller, and Sean McVay, who their quarterback is, and Matthew Stafford, I think is the top quarterback in the NFC. 2 really good weapons at the wide receiver spot, a good running game, and an improving defense. They are dangerous, and they are hot. What a crazy game it was between the Rams and the Seahawks yesterday at Lumen Field in the Pacific Northwest. That game was there for the taking for Seattle, but then they lose it. Geno Smith throwing 3 interceptions alongside 3 touchdowns in that game, 21 of 34, but in overtime. Matthew Stafford uncorking a dime to Demarcus Robinson, who made a ridiculous one-handed catch to win that game. Stafford threw for 298, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Kyren Williams, 22 carries for 69 yards. Cooper Kupp, 11 grabs for a $104. It was one of those games where the Rams stayed in it, and then they stole it late. Their schedule, Week 10, Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football. Week 11, cross-country travel against New England. They then come back home against the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 12 on Sunday Night Football. That'll be a huge game inside the NFC. On the road against the Saints, who just fired their coach in Dennis Allen. Second team to move on from a coach this year. Jets did it earlier with Robert Saleh, former Niners defensive coordinator. And then the Rams will play the Niners in Week 15 at Levi Stadium. That game will be crucial. The Niners' lone division win against the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. And at that moment, you're thinking, did the Niners get it together? Must-win game. Gotta have it spot. They won, and then they come back and they get annihilated by the Kansas City Chiefs, and then they beat the Dallas Cowboys. Jekyll and Hyde season for San Francisco. Their record really does indicate that at 4-4. I don't really worry about the Seahawks all that much. Good at receiver. Geno Smith really struggles against San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, and that Niners offense, they performed well against Mike McDonald on the road. You have to like the Niners' chances at home against Seattle coming up in 2 weeks. The Seahawks' upcoming schedule, they get a much-needed bye here in Week 10. Week 11 against the Niners on the road. Week 12 against Arizona. So once again, another big divisional game there. On the road against the Jets and the Green Bay Packers. That right there, difficult sledding for the Seahawks on that schedule. The 49ers, on the other hand, are the most talented team inside the NFC West. With their core, the most accomplished team inside the NFC West. But right now, they're not playing like the best team. And all year, they haven't played like the best team. And record-wise inside the division, they're only 1-2, and they've lost 2 divisional games against the Rams and against the Cardinals. That could really hurt them late. You wonder why I get so fired up when the Niners lose games that they should win. That's exactly why. As for the Niners' upcoming schedule, this isn't easy either. They are 6.5-point favorites against the Buccaneers on the road, early time window for Pacific time. The Buccaneers play the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football here tonight. Week 11, Seahawks at home. But then it's on the road against the Packers, on the road against the Bills. Those are hard games against very good teams. Brock Purdy doesn't always play well when it's cold or in inclement weather. That's something to remember. The Chicago Bears now 4-4. Did the Hail Mary break them? I said going into the year, if you're going to draft Caleb Williams number 1, fire Matt Eberflus. He's not a good head coach. Pair Caleb Williams up with an offensive mind. The Bears continue to be bad because they make bad decisions. They brought Eberflus back, clearly not a coach. He has not won on the road on a Sunday in his coaching career with Chicago. Hard to believe. So that game looks more winnable and a lot easier than it did just a couple of weeks ago. And then you look furthermore. Rams at home on the road against the Dolphins. Miami having Tua back makes that game a little bit more difficult. Then it's Lions Cardinals to end the year. So the Niners, you win a lot of games in previous years. You play in a Super Bowl last year. You will be given a difficult schedule. That's exactly what San Francisco has here. But again, they have the talent. They're getting healthier. And if they can get some momentum on their side, they could be dangerous. So predict it. Who will win the NFC West? Will it be the Niners? Will it be somebody else? Sound off with what you think down in the comment section. As always, thank you so much for watching. I love y'all.